Hey, I found on Marketplace a free Scott's riding mower, so I'm gonna go pick it up. Hey, just picked this guy up. The only issues so far that I was told are that the PTO is messed up and the battery's dead. So we'll see what I can do. The hood is broken a bit. It's got one of those V-Twin Briggs Inteks, 20 horsepower. Yeah. See if I can get it going. All right, I charged the battery. Let's see if this thing will start. Get some starting fluid going. All right, carburetor needs to be cleaned. Started right up, so that's good. All right, I've got this Scott's here. What is it? It's like a 20 horsepower, 48-inch deck. And with starting fluid, it tried to go. So I think it just needs a carb clean, and we'll see what happens. All right, first off, just remove the air cleaner cover. Got some nice little thingies here that just stay on there. So they can pop out, but usually they just kind of stay. Air filter, pretty clean, not too bad. All right, let's see here. We're going to use a 3/8 to remove some of these bolts around here. And I think these are the kind that don't have to be totally removed. You've got, yeah, there's a hole underneath, so I don't have to remove the entire thing. Which is nice because then you don't lose all the bolts. All right, there's usually like 5 or 6 of these things. Sometimes, like this one's missing one in the front. It's interesting how people lose them. Yeah, there's one right here that's just missing. Why wouldn't you replace it? I don't know. I would, I think. Maybe not. So today I'm watching the Colorado State game. Can Coach Prime do it? 2-0, are they going to go 3-0? Or is this finally going to show that they're just regular guys getting lucky with all the hype? All right, yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 on each side. See if that was all we had. Still have to get them off enough. Let's see here. we're good. I think we're clear. Oh gosh, they want me to take, I gotta take this thing off too. All right, fine. Don't understand when they do that. They don't all require that, so clearly they can make them without having to pull off that flywheel cover. All right, this is a 5/16. We'll just use the impact driver. Get them off real quick. All right, flipping that over, putting the bolts in the middle so I don't lose it. Now, there we go. Comes off much easier when there's nothing in the way. All right, well, we do not have a mouse nest, so that's good. Pretty dirty, but I've seen worse. All right, let's get this carb off of here. So this one has a fuel pump, mechanical fuel pump. So, or the pulse fuel pump, I don't even know what they call it. But I'm still gonna clamp it off. So I'm gonna use a little set of little vice grips. And I'm just gonna clamp this thing off. Oh my gosh. Maybe I'm not. It's like a rock. Okay, let's see what happens. Get a rag here just in case it starts dripping, but there probably shouldn't be too bad. Nope, not dripping. I just feel like sometimes, even with the fuel pump, if you don't clamp them off, they can drip on you. Okay. I'm gonna need a Torx. Which is right here. Let's see. All right, so the Torx, of course I can't read it. There we go. T30? T30. All right. So on each side here with the intake, I've got 2 bolts, one at the top, one at the bottom. Not super easy to get at, but very doable. Just get at the right angle there. You can get it. So right now the game is tied 14-14. So see what happens here. This is an exciting time in football as the Pac-12 is dissolving. All right, last one underneath. It smells pretty gross. I don't know what I'm smelling. I've had that a few times with some of these older mowers that have been sitting where they just stink like dead fish. It's gross. I don't know if it's some of the rubber, like from this hose that's basically about to crack. I've got a lot of extra fuel line and stuff, so I'll replace all that. Just this section here, and then I might do the whole thing. So I need to got some linkage down here. That is not working. Let's see what size I need. Yeah, the 5/16 will work right here. Man. All right, there we go. Pull that cable aside. I've got the solenoid cable underneath. Gosh, this stuff is caked on. And just one more linkage piece right there. Okay, let's go over to my workbench. Okay, update on the score, 1414. All right, here's a 7/16. We just need to get all this plastic stuff off. I wiped down a bunch of this because this thing is nasty. There's just goo and gunk all over it. So I will take a bunch of time off camera to clean that and get it somewhat presentable. In the meantime, bear with me through the nasty, and over time I think you'll see it looking better as I clean it. All right, all 4 of those off now. First thing I'm gonna check as well, with all this stuff off, I'm gonna get the solenoid here. I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna walk it over and test it to verify, because you gotta hear a click. When you turn the key, you should hear a click, and the plunger inside should go up and down. So I need to go grab a skinnier wrench, I believe. I've got one set of wrenches that fits that, and I keep them in my truck, so I gotta go over to the truck. That's very cute. My son borrowed my truck and I keep my truck in a locked shop, and he locked the doors for me. Very sweet. There we go. That's a 13 millimeter. That looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna go test that real quick. I know I'm using the dirtiest rag in the world to wipe dirt off of something, but I'm gonna use compressed air, blow everything off anyway. So. Didn't want to take the camera all the way over there, but check it out. So this, when this was in there, I just plugged in the wiring harness, just a little 2-pronger. It's sitting there like this. Right when you turn on the key, this piece goes, it just sucks in. So when the key is off, this piece is all the way out, blocking fuel from entering everything. So that makes me happy that that's working. They do not always work. All right, so I gotta use a tiny little socket that fits on the ends of these guys. Little tiny guy. So that's way too big. I never remember which one it is. Apparently it's one of the smallest that I have here. Oh yeah, there it is. It is 5/32. All right. So one thing, when you start these, it's gonna make this gasket come up, and that's okay. You should be fine with that, because that's gonna help pull it up fairly evenly. And then just use like a utility knife or razor blade, some kind of something to just help it. Yeah, that one's not coming as good. These are, though. That's okay. That's as far as I'm willing to go on some of that. So I'm just gonna take this and go carefully. There we go. Not too bad. Sometimes it surprises me when things work out fairly well. This one is much tighter. Doesn't want to come up as well. I don't want to cut it. Nice. Okay, that end's good. Let's bring this back up. All right, I think that got it. Yes, it left a little bit of gasket material on there though, so I'll end up scraping that off and probably using a new gasket. All right, so these just pop out now. One thing that's hard to remember on this is this, there it is on the other side. So you've got this linkage right here, and you pretty much have to take it off. But when you do, you gotta remember how to put it back on, because if you go inside out or something, it looks really easy right here, right? Oh, look, that's easy. Well, when it's all clean and you've tossed it and turned it 50 times, it won't be as easy to remember. But that's part of the reason why I enjoy videotaping these things. I can go back and even see for myself what happened. All right, so I'm gonna set this one aside, and I'm gonna leave that linkage in there, so at least I know how it looks on that one side. So now we just have the carb with, I want to leave this here too, because the last time I did one of these, it took me a few tries on that. And that's a pain. A big pain when you put it on and then have to pull it back off because you put it on wrong. Man, there is just so much gunk. It's weird to me when someone has an obvious oil leak somewhere. I mean, at least spray it down with a pressure washer or some kind of solvent to just get rid of some of that. Because once the dirt starts getting all attracted to it, that's pretty nasty. Yeah, I can't believe. I mean, you can, once I unpack all this, like, hey, look, there's a carburetor under there. And then you say, underwear. Oh. All right, I think this is going to be good enough for now. Like I said, I will clean it all up better, but I want to get to the internals. Gosh, everywhere I look, it's just gross. All right, Colorado State is up 21-14. And actually, Colorado State has lost a game. I don't know who they played, though. All right, so in order to get the bowl off on this, gosh, this is so gross. One of the things I like to do is just have these paper towels that I can just kind of fold back or add more. So now I've got a clean workspace again. All right, I'm gonna grab a big flathead or slotted, whatever you want to call it. Let's not argue on the terminology, because these turn better. I prefer a Phillips if you can. If you're on one that's going right and it's fine. But if you get a big old one like this and you gum it up and you can't open it, holy cow. Whew, that just about took all I had. All right, muscle up, let's go. There we go. Man. All right, other side. Anyway, if it's a looser screw and you got a Phillips, you can go really fast and it's not going to fall off. But if it's clamped down on there tight, you need a flathead. Oh my gosh. Oh, holy cow. Whew. That was nutty. Well, that doesn't look too bad. It's a little grimy. There's some junk in there. Go. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, really interesting because this is an O-ring, or it at least should be. Try to fix my light a little bit. That is a weird shape for an O-ring, so I'm gonna have to replace that, and that goes around here. And this is holding a nut that this screws into. So if that doesn't stay in place, that could be tricky. But I'm not worrying about that. I think we'll be fine. Right away, you can see there's a big old chunk of something right in here. And I don't know if that just fell in as I was taking that stuff apart, but that kind of stuff can be what's causing issues. So just pull out this pin, and then the float, which has the needle hanging there at the bottom. Those both are probably totally fine. And you can see through those jets in there, so that's good news. Those haven't been super plugged or anything. So now we're gonna pull out this little plastic tower. Just gonna use a Phillips. Nice and easy. And then that shows you the emulsion tubes, which look pretty dang good. But like I do on all my cleanings, I use a bread tie, a twisty tie. These little tubes here, there are 3 holes, and then 90 degrees there's 3 more, so they go all the way through. Each of them have them. Just take a twisty tie. It's a perfect size for it. Shove it through. 1, 2, 3. Rotate it. Man, I have my glasses on and everything. 2, 3. Now the other side. 1, 2, 3. Twist it. 1, 2, 3. All right. Everything's looking pretty good in there. There might be something in there. What is that? There's all sorts of little spaces on these where you can clean out. Like there is right there. There's a small hole inside where the needle goes. All right, this is the fun part here. On this butterfly valve, you've got two little Phillips. Take those off. And then we'll pull that whole valve piece out. Once you get that off, now we can just pull from this side and that comes out, which is actually nice too. Sometimes you think like, man, how in depth is this going? It's like, well, that really helps you clean everything out. All right, so now you can see a big screw in here. And that holds this black piece in. There you go. So this piece just slides out. And that has holes in that we need to make sure we blow out. I can see through them already. You can, if I hold it right, you can see they are not gummed up. But inside, underneath where they were, you can see that there's a gasket that actually looks like it's in pretty good shape too. But all that stuff falls out when you're blowing air. So you know what? Let's pull it. And then dump it over there. Just looks like this. It's in pretty good shape, not too bad. Not perfect, but not too bad. All right. I'm gonna pull this thing off. Three screws on the top here. They weren't on very tight at all. And they are magnetized. Wipe off a little bit of excess. Excess goobers. Hey, now we can see our Nicky sign. This is a genuine Briggs and Stratton Nicky, which some people hate and some people love. I don't know, when they're working great, they're great. There we go underneath. You're gonna wipe off all that gunk. And that's more great area for us to just blow out all these passageways, do stuff with In fact, you can see two of the holes from up here when you flip it all the way over. You can see maybe through there. They go all the way through. Another great opportunity to grab your twisty tie and try to get in there. Not always easy. There we go. And if you look real closely, you can see it's coming up right next to one of those emulsion tubes. I think I'll just push down this time from this one. Well, that sounded easy, but it's not necessarily. There we go. All right. But yeah, that gives me a great time to, so I could spray some of this down. Just got some carb cleaner here. I'm going to pull off this little gasket here. I'm going to leave it, but I'm going to be careful when I do the compressed air. I bet that thing pops right out. And speaking of that, you can see this gasket is popping out right here. So let's take that out right now, gently, because otherwise the compressed air has a tendency to make things pop and go flying. There we go. Not in super shape, but it wasn't leaking from the carb, I don't think, so I think we're good. But yeah, just spray a little bit. Make sure not to get it in your face. I kind of just spray everywhere where there's a hole, and usually there's another spot that's attached to. Ooh, that one went everywhere. My wife loves it when I come in smelling like gasoline and carb cleaner. All right, I'm gonna go spray this off. Some compressed air. I'll be back. I'm back. Whew. Look how clean that is. That's way better than it was. All right. Let's put this plate back on. It goes up here right by the fuel tube. That. With the 3 screws. Just like that. it's halftime. Halftime for the Colorado State game. And now this stuff goes back in. Got this little gasket. You just have to make sure the 4 holes on the bottom line up with those 4 and the 2 on top line up. And then this piece slides in. It's got a little groove. And then the screw. Then we'll do the butterfly valve next. Okay, so now we shove the butterfly piece through here. There's only one way it can go because the hole is only on one side. Once it's in, then you verify the correct direction of this because it's got to line up with some stuff. So you can tell, looking at it like that, that piece it was turned like that. Okay, a little awkward. No. I don't know why it's that awkward today. Maybe I put it a little too far. You can, oh, there, yeah, you can slide it, there we go. You can slide it in further than you need to. So just, if you're having issues like I was, back it out by this part a little bit so that the plate can line up on the little holder there. But these small little screws are not easy. I don't even have giant hands. Come on. Maybe. Yes. Alright, get the other one in here. There we go. Just stick with it if it's giving you a hard time. Alright, not too tight, but get them snug. Verify that it's gonna do what it needs to do, and that it's working good. Okay, I'm back. So my battery went dead, and I was not able to finish doing this last night. Colorado did beat Colorado State. That was a pretty fun game. But anyway, back here to this carb. All right. Oh, another thing I was going to say was be careful of these jets that are inside here, because for the most part, they're just sitting in the top. They just kind of sit there. And when you pick it up and then tip it upside down, like I did last night, off camera, I lost one of the jets. And I had to find some of my spare parts. And that did not make me super happy, as you can imagine, because I searched my floor here in my shop probably for 30 minutes. Yeah, that was very, very sad. All right, anyway, here we go. Get these guys back in here. A little Phillips action, one on each side. Gonna get it in nice and loose the first time, and then snug them up just a little bit. So I did notice today the Seahawks won. My goodness, I was watching Geno Smith run backwards for like 20 yards. He was down like at his own 3. Like, come on. I mean, I've never played quarterback, but I think I'm smart enough to know in that situation where you're running backwards and nobody's open, throw the ball away. Or throw yourself to the ground, take a slide 10 yards back instead of 20. You know, that's just crazy. All right, I'm just pushing this gasket back in. This needle, from what I can tell, looks pretty clean. I don't know that the needles ever get dirty, but all right, and this looks pretty clean too. Not really any junk on it, but I'm just checking. All right, so the needle slides right into that float. And you lower it like that. And then just kind of wipe the pin off in case there's anything there. There's one end that's pressed. You can kind of see it's pinched. That's the end that you hold while you push it through these pieces. There we go. I wiped some of the goo out of here. I'm going to wipe a little bit more, but there's just gunk all around there a little bit. So wipe it all off. Then I'm going to blow the compressed air through there. But I am going to use some carb cleaner in here right now. Let's spray a little bit. And then let's scrub it. That looks a lot better. Another thing I like to do is take a little bit of there we go. I know what this is called, and right now I'm having a brain fart, so I can't tell you what it's called. When I edit the video though, I'll add the name. Anyway, just like to go around here a little bit anytime you've got some extra gunk. If it won't come out with just the carb cleaner, turn it around a few times. Because everything you can get out is going to help in the long run. Keeping gunk from clogging everything up. Steel wool. There we go. Steel wool. Ha ha. I don't know why that word escapes me sometimes. All right, really, we are getting good now. This is looking pretty. Check that out. Woo! But just because I have so many little pieces of the steel wool now, kind of around, I'm gonna go blow this off with compressed air. Okay, we're gonna need one of these O-ring assortment kits. I got mine at Harbor Freight. So it's for this piece again, where we're trying to replace this guy because it's so weirdly shaped and crazy. All right. This piece, let me think here. I don't remember exactly how it was. I feel like these are all slightly different. So if it was, yeah, it must just be around, it's gonna be on here. So yeah, that really wasn't doing anything at that point. So let's try, let's try this one. It should be a little bit snug, but yeah, that actually probably will fit good. Yeah, let's try that. Because it's going to be pushed on once the bowl goes on and the bowl nut or the solenoid part goes through there, it'll tighten it down. And I think that'll do it. Okay, getting these on here. And remember to close these things up because you know you're going to dump it accidentally, reaching for something else. Just gonna dump it. It's just gonna happen. Just accept it. Okay, tighten these two up. Nice. All right, I am throwing this one away because that will never work on anything else. And basically off camera, I've been wiping everything down real good using compressed air, just so you know. On the solenoid here, I'm just kind of wiping it down a little extra. It's not too bad. on things like that. And everybody goes, what are you doing? Like, well, that's me. I am my own air compressor. No jokes, come on. You guys are gross. All right, wiping out this last little section here. Oh, you know what? That won't even be in. I do not need to mess with that part. The threads will go up inside. I'll get those clean. And underneath the little plunger. There we go. All right, now don't forget, make sure you got your washer on there. And then that's the 13 millimeter. Once you get that snug, this whole thing can just spin. So don't worry about what angle that's going right now. Okay, so I dropped this, which I wasn't gonna do. And I'm just trying to remember how it goes. I feel like it would go in from the top like that. Let's see. This is gonna go this way. So if we I think that's right. Okay. Let's hope. So what do y'all think about Aaron Rodgers' injury, huh? You know, this is 2023, so if you're watching this later, 2030, you might not know what I'm talking about. You might say, who's Aaron Rodgers? But, yeah, he played like 4 snaps when he went to the Jets there. I think it's 4 snaps. And he snapped or sprained his Achilles. Not good. I was kind of hoping, not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, but I mean, I like him as a player. He's good. I was hoping to see if he could do something on a different team. It's always hard when you're used to him, you know, on the Packers, and then suddenly he's on a different team. It's like, well, it kind of sucks, but what are you going to do? Someone's making the decisions. It's all about money. Money and power. Who knows? All right. So to get this guy back on, I know I said I was probably going to replace this. I didn't have an extra one, and that is not really in that bad a shape. And since I didn't scrape off all the other stuff, it's basically, I think it'll be fine. So it'll just go back down. It'll be tightened, and it'll be great. All right, cleaned this guy off. Looks much nicer. Oh, a little bit of gunk up there. Anyway, yeah, the parts that matter are clean. It's just gonna go on here. Oh, before I forget too, the part number here, 698494 space 266, and then underneath that, 442-9N-571. In case you need that. And to tighten those in again, that was a 5/32. Now, this is a 7/16 to get these bolts on here. And I did clean them all up real nice. It's almost shining. It's like new. Well, no, not new. But not like gross anymore. How about that? It's like not gross. Ready to put this thing back on and see if it'll start. Let's go. All right, I cleaned this out a little bit too, vacuumed. You can still see some stuff, but there was a lot that I took care of. All right, so first off, I'm going to connect this little linkage piece to this right here. I'm just going to lift up on it a little bit and get the right angle. There we go. That was easy. And as I push it up like this, yeah, I guess I'm going to use some bolts to at least hold it, because I've got a breather tube in the back that I have to connect. And also a little bit, some more linkage. So, and I don't want to put it in perfectly tight right now, because if I screw anything up, then I have to take it all apart again. So, down here we've got the solenoid wiring. Get that plugged in. Okay, that appears to be working right. Let's plug in the breather tube back here. It just pops into this plastic piece. There we go. And then this piece here is you gotta go up and under. Like that. Wait. No. Shoot. Got to go from the top, I think. There we go. So if you go from the top down, man, that piece is, I know I didn't bend it that bad. There we go. Yes, that looks better. Okay. And now find the spot that looks cleanest. probably right about there, roughly. I can adjust it later. Okay, now I think I will go ahead and tighten all these. Start them in the bottom as well. Always get them started because once you tighten, if it's not perfect, you're gonna wish that you had started it, because then you gotta undo everything. There we go. That bottom one went in great. And that one went in great. This is working out great. Show them you're a tiger. Show them what you can do. Sorry. All right, now I just have to put on the nasty fuel line. I think we're hooked up. Heck, let's try it. Choke might not be all the way right. Let's see. Starting fluid it is. Okay, it's a fuel issue. So cleaning the carburetor maybe had nothing to do with it. I love it when that happens. Although, it was pretty gross. Needed to be done. So now I have to figure out what the fuel problem is. Is it bad fuel? I could drain the old fuel. Maybe I'll do that. Before I drain the fuel or look at that, let's just see, is there any fuel even getting to this from right here? No. Fuel is not getting to it, which means you know what? There's no fuel in the filter either. I'm probably out of gas. That's embarrassing. Let me throw some gas in. Well, I just pulled the gas tank cap off. There's gas in there, I knew that. Let's just try it again with the cap off. Okay. It's not that. Troubleshooting, I love it. So I'm going to check if this line looks, because it's thickened and everything and looks kind of nasty, I'm going to see if the insides of it are collapsing. Because if that's the case, and it's not allowing fuel to flow because of that, nope, looks fine. It could be the fuel pump. Could be the fuel pump. And I can test it by dropping in straight into some gas. I'm going to put a fuel line, hook some fuel right to here, plug this back in, and then see if it'll take it from a fresh jar. And if it will, then I know that it's either the fuel pump or a line further back is plugged. And I know I don't have to keep doing these clips each time, but it's just habit. All right. All right, popping the clip down here. Because yeah, there's no fuel in the filter. Tiny bit of fuel in the filter. So I am hooking a nice new line up underneath here. And straight into this so that we can see if it's actually picking up any fuel or not. All right, trying it again. not picking up any fuel. All right, I'm gonna pour some gas straight in. No, we already know that works. Yeah, I'm guessing it's my fuel pump here, so let me look around for a spare. Let's see what this pump looks like. Beside looking like that, I don't know. Well, I just used compressed air to spray it off, and I forgot there is a little filter back there. So maybe that was so clogged that it wasn't working. Let's try it. Hook this bad boy back up. I'm not gonna connect everything all the way this time. And maybe that'll be my good luck charm. Nope. That wasn't it either. All right, I found the exact same one, I think. And I know this one works because it's dripping fuel into my hand. Of course, now it's dripping at an annoying rate. Swap this guy out. Let's see what happens. I bet this is the problem. I bet. What do you bet? Bet you 500. No, I don't bet anything.